Did you guys know that if a bitch breaks up with you and you send her nudes to everybody, even that's wrong, guys?
Yes! What? Absolutely! It's actually a crime. Like, what? That's the definition of revenge porn. Yeah, it's wrong. What? In what world? Like, even if this, like, I don't know when this clip is from, okay? I don't have the timeline. If this was taken before these laws were established in parts of the United States, okay. But even then, like, you should understand fundamentally as a principle, yeah, you're violating someone's consent. I'm going to skip past the introduction, but if you didn't know, Ryan Beard, the person who has made this video, goes by they, them pronouns. They are non-binary, so if you are referring to them in the chat, just use they, them pronouns. Very, very easy to do. Don't be a dick. I don't think that's a hard request for anyone to follow. And I skipped past their introduction for a number of reasons. One, it gives a lot of preamble, recap, and a lot of discussions of you know, if there's going to be logical fallacies. I think the whole thing is appealing to maybe, and probably for better, maybe DGGers or people who watch Destiny's content, or people who watch, you know, Stephen Bonell II's stuff and want to, like, you know, see the world through the lens of, like, debate perverts or debate bros, or grounding one's axioms correctly and all that kind of stuff. So he tries to point out, I guess, it's called lamp shading, when you load all the potential. You poison the well. He poisons the well for all the criticisms of both him and his video, and a lot of that centers around something that I think, if you didn't already see it or know it, you might not know the history, how far back a lot of this goes. The defense of a lot of the most abhorrent and horrifying clips you're about to watch, typically it's that this happened a long time ago. This was like a decade ago. He's changed. He's apologized. It's totally fine. He's a completely different person, right? That's usually the defense, but I agree with him in that not everyone is into Destiny. Not everyone is into online, you know, personality streamers, political streamers, or even knows anything about lore or history or anything like that. So for people who have never heard of him, it might be important to learn about the fact that he has a very demonstrable pattern of both being an ephebophile. Yes, I have to specify that to avoid a lawsuit. I don't want anyone to get litigious, but he is someone who has demonstrated himself to be an ephebophile. And in addition to that, clearly is someone who's been doing a lifelong, well, I would say career-long anyway, activity surrounding being a predator, as in, like, preying upon members of his community, fans, people who, you know, idolize him, where he is in a position of power to take advantage of them.
Around the end of 2011, Destiny sexually assaulted a woman on his live stream. I'm not using the word allegedly here because we have video of him doing it, and he has openly admitted that it was sexual assault.
I would say that in my streaming career in the past, like, totally publicly, like, I completely and totally, like, assaulted a girl on stream before for, like, fucking 5 minutes or whatever. I got super fucking drunk and was, like, grabbing her fucking breast the entire time.
Later, Destiny has attempted to downplay his actions here by tweeting, "I was drunk off my ass literally for the first time in my life." And he said that at the time, he didn't understand how bad it was, but now, looking back years later, he understands that it was reprehensible behavior.
And at the time, I figured, like, oh, well, you know, we're gonna fuck anyway, like, it doesn't matter, like, she's chill or whatever, like, I'm drunk, it doesn't matter. Like, at the time, I'm thinking, like, you know, oh, it's not a big deal. But, like, looking back, I'm like, okay, wait, this is, like, really, really, really reprehensible behavior.
But if you go back and watch the clip, immediately after assaulting her, he says, "Listen, I'm gonna apologize to you so much tomorrow."
Listen, I'm gonna apologize to you so much tomorrow. Shh.
Why would you need to apologize to her tomorrow, Destiny? Is it maybe because you understood that what you were doing was wrong? To me, this shows that even in his incredibly drunk state, he knew that what he was doing is wrong. And obviously, being drunk does not absolve you of your actions. Otherwise, we wouldn't criminalize drunk driving.
You've come here to this stream to defend drunk drivers to me.
This is a common tactic with Destiny where he'll half take accountability for something, but half try to downplay it by saying, "Oh, I was so drunk at the time. Oh, I didn't understand how bad it was at the time." But I'm calling bullshit. You understood that what you were doing was bad, even back when you did it, because you were an adult, not a baby. According to this woman, Destiny has never directly apologized to her, even though she would like him to. She acknowledges that he has indirectly apologized on his stream, but my question is, did he apologize on his stream to save his reputation, or did he apologize because he was genuinely remorseful? I will allow you to answer that question for yourself as we go through more of Destiny's pattern of behavior from over the years. In 2012, Destiny shared private nudes of a woman he had been sexting named Blue Tea with his friends. Destiny will often claim that the reason for his actions are because he was provoked into doing them and he had no other choice.
I'm kind of being pushed into playing my entire hand.
But here, there was no provocation. He just thought it would be funny to share this woman's private nudes with his friends and joke about how fucking hideous her face is compared to her beautiful body. And he also insulted her because he thought she looked like Shrek. So he shared a woman's private nudes without consent for the purpose of degrading her. In response, Blue Tea hacked Destiny's Twitter and tweeted out pictures of his dick. Obviously, I condemn this woman's actions. She posted revenge porn of Destiny, which is never justified. But don't forget that the situation that provoked this was was Destiny maliciously sharing her nudes without her consent. On Reddit, Destiny replied to her by saying, "I can't imagine how you can think that people will never ever ever talk about anything personal or private amongst their friends. Maybe I'm just stupid, but I can't see myself caring at all if you shared pictures between your close friends, especially given the fact that I never see any of them in real life." So in this comment, Destiny is admitting that he did send the nudes without consent, and he's attempting to downplay his actions. A couple years later, when one of Destiny's friends named Bob7 allegedly shared a woman's nudes without her consent, Destiny said that this should be life-destroying.
Bob7 shared nude photographs of multiple women after pressuring one to post one without their consent, but I do believe that these are relatively life-destroying revelations.
But when Destiny does it...
Whoa! Well, I mean, that should be pretty much case closed, right? At this point? Because it seems like Destiny's been doing that a lot to a lot of different victims for a long time, and doing it over and over again, and clearly showing no remorse. Did you all see that leaked log that just came out of Destiny? Because I'm hearing so much from different communities right now who are still trying to defend Destiny, specifically like Dan Saltman. By the way, to anyone who's going to be the last remaining fucking disgusting ass people who are still defending this dude, as like, you know, more evidence becomes available every single day of the horrifying sex crimes that he's being accused of, you could still do the right thing at any point. Any one of you could, just by simply helping the victims, by coming forward and giving information that's going to help their, you know, court cases, or perhaps help a police investigation into the matter. You know, otherwise, like, what are you going to do? Look back on this 20 years down the road and be like, oh no, I definitely was on the right side of history of this one. Yeah. Destiny, this is on 1/9/25. Oof. I mean, I guess now that some shit is leaked, now, if you want videos of me eating, I've got them. And yeah, I know what you mean. Teaching someone new something can be hot and kinky. Thing is, in and of itself, it's super important to be with that someone who's patient and all that. And then the person responds, no, don't show me that. Those are super private, and I can't even imagine how it feels to have something so private be so public, even if you were poly and very sexual in nature. Like, this is going to keep happening. This is the problem with, like, people trying to sweep the reality of the situation or downplay it, or try to hope that, like, everything is just going to, like, hopefully if, like, some time goes by, no one, like, talks too much about it, no one brings up, you know, the pretty demonstrable, you know, the history and pattern of sex crimes and abuse and all that. Eventually, people will just kind of, like, ignore it. He'll go back to streaming normally. He'll go back to having his, like, online empire, and then everything just, like, calms down and goes back to how it was. And it's like, this shit is incredibly serious, and it seems pretty demonstrable that not only has this been happening for a very long time, and a lot of people along the road or pathway have been covering it up or trying to downplay it, he's also been specifically targeting and picking victims that happen to be very, very young, may have a demonstrable history of mental health issues, and taking advantage of both of those. And that, like, as long as this is allowed to keep, like, happening, and he has people who are continuously trying to downplay how serious it is, it's going to be a danger to not only people who are watching his content, but anyone who might get caught up in, like, well, no, this is not about him, the potential sex criminal. He's a canvasser, and he's working for the Democrats, and this is a canvassing operation for him to go out and get people to knock on doors. And it's like, I don't think that politicians, political activism, or anyone should be associated with him at this point. He has proven himself to be, like, demonstrably a danger to people around him, or in his inner circle, or like, you know, orbiting him, as he likes to say.
He justifies it by saying that he wouldn't care if someone did it to him. This is known as the personal preference fallacy, arguing that something isn't wrong simply because you wouldn't care if it was personally done to you. Even if
Ariana Jasmine, thank you so much for the raid. Sorry I missed it. Everyone go to twitch.tv/ArianaJasmine_. Also, Caspa1103, thank you. Next Abyss, thank you for resubscribing. And Prince Punk, thank you too. And go check out twitch.tv/DarkNative as well.
Destiny wouldn't care if someone shared his nudes, which I doubt. That doesn't make it okay for him to do it to someone else. And a couple years later, Destiny demonstrates that he knows that sharing nudes is wrong by laughing at this clip of someone explaining how it's wrong.
The guy sent the nudes to, like, his buddy, and the buddy sent it to the other buddy, and it just went, like, the whole school had her nudes.
Wow.
Right?
That's cray.
That in and of itself is another example of, like, violating consent. Even though, you know, for so long we were trained to be like, oh, consent has to do with, like, you know, like, sex.
Did you guys know that if a bitch breaks up with you and you send her nudes to everybody, even that's wrong, guys?
Him laughing like,
yes! What? Absolutely! It's actually a crime. Like, what? That's the definition of revenge porn. Yeah, it's wrong. What, in what world, like, even if this, like, I don't know when this clip is from, okay? I don't have the timeline. If this was taken before these laws were established in parts of the United States, okay? But even then, like, you should understand fundamentally as a principle, yeah, you're violating someone's consent. If someone consented to you taking a picture of them naked, that consent is between the two of you. They're not putting it up on the internet. They're not putting it up anywhere. They're not selling the access to seeing that. That's the difference between, say, your relationship with your partner and a sex worker who is openly putting those things for sale on the internet. They are consenting to you paying money to see them naked by you buying their photos or a subscription service or something like that. That consent ends when your relationship ends. You don't then have the right to take that, keep it, and then send it to other people and be like, haha, can you believe what she has done? She's a whore. She's a slut. Look, she's had sex. Here are pictures of it. That's why it's called revenge porn.
This is him sarcastically showing that he obviously understands it's wrong. So I think even back when Destiny did this, he understood that it was wrong. He's just pretending like he didn't understand that it was wrong to avoid taking accountability for his actions. Destiny has a long history of really not liking when women post about their negative sexual experiences online. Real talk, opening up about quote-unquote your rape and shit on Twitter is incredibly fucking weird and should never have been normalized. I have no idea why the fuck people encourage others to trauma dump on social media. It's insanely unhealthy. This was in response to a woman sharing an allegation about how she was stealthed. She was allegedly having sex with a man. She had established the boundary beforehand that he needed to wear a condom during sex, but in the middle of sex, he removed the condom, which is a form of rape. I agree with Destiny that sometimes trauma dumping on social media can be unhealthy, but sharing allegations on social media obviously has the possible benefit of holding people accountable for their actions. And putting the words "your rape" in quotation marks obviously implies that he's casting some level of doubt onto her story. It's
Well, also, why in the fuck would you take it upon yourself to use your huge platform for that? Like, even if you, like, I completely disagree. I think it's really fucked up to see someone's personal story or testimony of how they were abused and then think, like, I have to go after you for that. Like, even if it pissed you off or something about it rubbed you the wrong way, why engage at all? Why make it part of your business? But no, that's what Destiny does there. And he does it a number of times to, like, even sometimes smaller accounts who weren't interacting with him. This wasn't like they replied to him and they were like, hey, Destiny, by the way, I've been assaulted. You can't talk like this. It's just a random account that was making a statement, then going after that random account and being like, hey, by the way, like, I don't know if this is really fair for you to express this in this manner. Like,
one
who the
thing
fuck
to
are
wait
you?
to see evidence before you fully believe someone's story that they post on social media. It's another thing to instantly cast doubt on their story just because you're annoyed that they decided to post about it on social media. This controversy started because Destiny had retweeted someone who tweeted, if you knew he took off the condom and you couldn't even bring yourself to say anything, you shouldn't be having casual sex. A bunch of people got mad at Destiny for retweeting this, so then he tweeted, if you are noticing someone is taking a condom off and you can't say anything, you probably don't have the emotional maturity to engage in sex. You should probably just grab a caretaker or something and stick to masturbating to furry porn. Sorry. People got even more mad at this tweet, so then he tweeted, sorry, I want to apologize for my last tweet. You should treat every single woman you come across like a retarded child who's incapable of voicing an opinion about literally anything. Ideally, you would bring her dad along to every fuck so he can guide her through the process. First of all, she did clearly assert her boundaries before sex. She just struggled to reassert her boundaries when this man started raping her because this made her so uncomfortable. I agree that if you struggle to reassert your boundaries during sex, this could make it more likely that you would end up being harmed during sex. And we should obviously encourage people to assert their boundaries during sex as much as they possibly can. But rather than show empathy for women who struggle to tell men to stop because they're so terrified while they're being raped, Destiny decides to insult these women's emotional maturity and call them retarded children. According to a neuroscience article in the journal Nature Human Behavior, victims frequently report immobility during rape and sexual assault, often using the term freezing. Neuroscientific evidence suggests fear and threat can block cortical neural circuits for action control, leading to involuntary immobility. And this sort of immobility can manifest as physical immobility or verbal immobility. A 2017 Scandinavian study reported that 70% of the 298 women who had visited an emergency clinic within a month of experiencing sexual violence had experienced significant tonic immobility or paralysis when it happened. So when women struggle to reassert their boundaries while they're being raped, this isn't because they're children with no emotional maturity. There are actual neurological reasons for this behavior. When the streamer Hans of Harkir brings up the fact that these women could be having a freeze response when they experience stealthing, Destiny disregards this and says that a victim couldn't possibly have a freeze response just from seeing a man take his condom off.
Freeze up is some shit where you're like in a fucking traumatic situation and somebody's doing some crazy shit. Not like you look down and you see some asshole is trying to slip a condom off. Like, oh, I'm frozen out. I can't fucking think. I don't take the condom off. I'm fucking completely frozen. Bro, what the fuck kind of 14-year-olds are you fucking? No, are you serious?
But according to a 2010 study titled Facing Freeze, Social Threat Induced Bodily Freeze in Humans, even negative social interactions can trigger a psychological freeze response in some people. The more fear someone is experiencing, the more likely they are to have a freeze response, but even a moderate amount of fear can still induce a psychological freeze response. And seeing someone non-consensually removing their condom during sex after you've established that they need to wear a condom absolutely could cause enough fear to induce a freeze response. The way that Destiny chooses to mock these women
But also, why is that something that you're getting so passionate about? Like, Why is that suddenly like, holy fuck, I'm mad about this. I'm really angry about this aspect. What, are you mad at the fact that there was a dude who then lied and broke consent and ripped his condom off and then engaged in stealthing? Or are you mad at him? No, I'm mad at the woman for saying that she was actually affected by it. That's what's making me so mad right now. I'm so angry right now. You gotta fucking... It's like, why is that making you angry? Why is that the thing that you have so much hatred towards?
Who claim that they do have a freeze response while being stealthed is just really fucking gross. I don't know what else to say.
Oh, I'm frozen out. I can't fucking think. I don't take the condom off. I'm fucking completely frozen.
I think this is from the person who is the retarded child. They said, I've actually been raped, and saying, no, just made him rape me harder. I know that's what happened after he pulled out. This is not incomprehensible that I would just walk away from that situation.
It sounds like
It sounds like you're a fucking sociopath. Like, Jesus Christ. And like, how do you just sit there the whole time and be like, hey, by the way, the very person whom you're mocking is saying to your face, this is actually not true. And then it got worse to then fucking just start like laughing your ass off. Oh man. This is also a really big danger of like, you know, the faux persona that people like Destiny cultivate, where they tell everybody that like, oh, by the way, he's actually a liberal and he's a feminist and he cares a lot about, you know, consent and boundaries. That's really important to what he does. And he wants to actually like, you know, get an entire generation of younger people who watch him to de-radicalize them from the far right, bring them over to his fold. And so he can actually like, this is a person who is on a very mass scale directly mocking someone's sexual assault and then normalizing that to his audience, right? To the, I don't know, 5,000, 6,000, and then hundreds of thousands of people afterwards who watch the video, who see this moment in time and then be like, well, I mean, you know, the Destiny, the guy I have a parasocial relationship with, and I think is obviously going to be a really good debater, and he's very astute, and he knows how to get to the truth of any matter, is telling me that, like, it's actually pretty ridiculous for a woman to say that she's traumatized by the very idea of stealthing and sexual assault in general. So where do I take that? I'm not sure.
he needs to stop having casual sex.
To be clear, I don't think that Destiny is saying it's okay to stealth people, but I do think he is choosing to mock women for something that is outside of their control. Obviously, women do have some level of control over reasserting their boundaries during sex, and we should always encourage people to assert their boundaries as much as possible, but if someone is struggling to reassert their boundaries because of a freeze response when someone is raping them, maybe we shouldn't call them retarded children. After this controversy, the absolutely brilliant trans activist known as Keffels decided to make a false allegation against Destiny. She claimed that Destiny himself had stealthed a woman.
Oh yeah, meanwhile he stealths people, which is legitimately a form of rape. Insane.
As far as we know, this is totally untrue. Destiny himself has not stealthed a woman. He was just a massive asshole to a woman who was stealthed. To give Keffels credit, she did acknowledge soon after this that she was wrong and Destiny actually didn't stealth anyone.
Wait, I don't know if he did it. Wait, backing up, I don't actually know if he did it.
But Keffels, maybe consider trying to be really sure before you make these types of allegations against people. Destiny is correct that spreading false allegations like this absolutely does undermine the cause of the left. Making this false allegation against Destiny allowed him to shift his focus onto your false allegation instead of focusing on the fact that he was a massive asshole to this woman who was stealthed. Unfortunately, many of the people who have tried to take down Destiny over the years haven't been the sharpest tools in the shed. Speaking of tools in the shed, let's talk about the time that Destiny tweeted that he hopes a woman is raped to death with a shovel. In 2015, the porn star Stoya tweeted allegations that the male porn star James Dean had raped her. This tweet really upset Destiny because, as we've established, he really does not like it when women talk about their negative sexual experiences online. Jesus, why not file a fucking police report instead of tweeting this? You're fucking disgusting. What a fucking idiot at Stoya. Stephen Bennell, why don't you write us a long list of everything you feel a survivor of rape should do? Then I'll use it to wipe my ass. Survivor of rape. It's rape, not murder, not beheading, not a fatal car crash. Everyone survives rape. Get over yourself. Survivor of...
By the way, this is like from 2015, right? Long ass time ago. I've seen so many different situations where you see defense of these. Like they'll pop up and someone will be like, no, he's actually like abhorrent. He's got a long history of not only doing horrifying things towards women, but also like justifying horrifying things being done towards women publicly with like the platforms that he's given. And then it's like, well, that was a long time ago. Oh, that's just one edgy little like yeah, so he's being edgy. I'll grant I don't agree with it. I don't agree with all of it. Like I remember when Destiny got kicked off of Twitch and there was an entire panel of people who were like talking about how Destiny's not going to be on Twitch anymore and how much the Twitch platform has changed, and it was like 90% people just fawning over the guy, being like, oh, he's contributed so much to politics, and like there would be no just chatting the section without him, and there would be no this. And then there was other people who were like, he has been a menace to so many different people, communities, but specifically to women for a really long time, and no one seems to want to talk about that. No one talks about it when he's being very, very cruel towards black women, when he's being, or targeting black women, or being very racist and sexist towards them. No one speaks up about that. No one has anything to say at that moment in time when we can just show you demonstratively that there's like example after example after example of horrifying stuff that this dude has been saying, and then all of a sudden it's like, but you know, he's mean to some people, he's good to some people, he's kind of like, you know, he's very effective at what he does, and that's more important.
Rip here. Hello. Want to talk about how hard it is to go on every day? Kill yourself so you don't have to live with the pain. So rape survivors should just get over it because at least they didn't die. And if they're dealing with a lot of pain or trauma because of their rape, they should just kill themselves because if they kill themselves, the pain will stop. Very cool, Steven. I have no idea why anyone has ever accused you of being a rape apologist. This should go without saying, but obviously it's good for rape survivors to file police reports to hold rapists accountable. But police reports don't always lead to rapists being held accountable for their actions, which is why sometimes it's good to post about it on social media. At least Destiny will be happy that the woman he allegedly recorded while they were having sex without her knowledge did file a police report against Destiny. Good job, Cherry. You have done things in the Destiny-approved way. Right after this, Destiny got into an argument with another woman about how James Dean didn't respect Stoya's safe word. As Stephen Bennell, ignoring a safe word and not stopping when someone asks is ignoring consent and is rape. Go fuck yourself. Kill yourself, you fucking cunt. I hope you get raped with a fucking shovel until you bleed out your fucking vag and die. Holy. This right here is probably the most violent.
But again, it's like, you know, obviously now in hindsight, most people are going to see that and be like, oh my God, what? Yeah, the warning signs are always there. The guy seems to be a violent misogynist and has a history of it. And honestly, why is it that that's the thing that's getting you so mad? Like that degree of mad, that actual tangible fucking anger that you can feel just by reading the tweet itself that were in your fingers as you were fucking slamming them down on the keyboard. Like that level of absolute hatred and anger towards people trying to say consent is good, actually. Like that's the argument in the other direction. If there are two people who are engaged in sex and they've established a safe word, and that safe word is supposed to be used to stop the sexual experience at any time, and they use the safe word and the other person doesn't stop what they're doing, they are violating their consent. I hope you die. I hope a shovel smashes you in it. Blah. Like, Jesus, so that's what you're getting mad about. Telling.
Vitriolic language that I have ever seen Destiny use in his entire career on the internet. And it just so happens to be in response to women talking about their negative sexual experiences. My question after seeing all of this is, why does Destiny have such an intense hatred for women talking about their negative sexual experiences on the internet? Is it because he just cares so much about these women and he doesn't want them to harm their own mental health because trauma dumping on the internet can be really damaging for them? Or is it maybe because a culture where women feel comfortable coming forth with allegations on the internet can lead to women like Pixie and Cherry and Melina coming forth with allegations against people like Destiny, exposing them for being massive pieces of shit? I will again allow you to answer that question for yourself. We'll get back to Destiny treating women like shit a little bit later on, but now let's pivot to Destiny harming children. For some strange reason, a lot of people like to label Destiny here a pedophile. So in the next section, we'll get to the bottom of whether or not Mr. Bennell here really is a certified EDP 445. Is Destiny really a pedo, or are these just false, slanderous allegations meant to try to dethrone the debate bro king? Let's find out. In 2012, when Destiny was 23, he shared in a group chat with a couple of his friends the messages, "You want to see the sickest shit in the world? So many fangirls. I had one that was 15. She wanted to meet and hook up. Dude, she's 15, what the fuck? But she sent me pictures that made it so hard to say no." Then Destiny linked a picture of this girl in a bikini in the chat and said, "Girl on the left, so hard."
Yeah, I'll put one up. I think there's no way to get through the entire thing without there being a pretty consistent amount of what the fuck. Yeah, I'm putting up a content warning. CSAM, SA, TA2, get them all up there.
Hard to say no. Gonna get arrested one of these MLGs, man. So in these logs, when Destiny was 23, he said that it was really hard to turn down hooking up with this 15-year-old because she looked so good in this picture of her in a bikini. He then shared this lewd image of a child with his friends and said that he's gonna get arrested someday. Well, like I said, a woman just filed a police report against Destiny, so we'll just have to wait and see if his prediction comes true. A couple years later, in 2015, when Destiny was 26, he shared in his chat, "I would fuck the shit out of that 15-year-old, what the fuck? There's no way that chick is 15. So now we've seen two separate occasions where Destiny says that he's attracted to 15-year-olds. Ironically, this conversation where he's sharing a picture of a 15-year-old in a bikini with his friends is the exact same conversation where he also shared that other woman's nudes without her consent. Sharing non-consensual nudes and sharing a picture of a child in a bikini in one conversation? What a certified Destiny moment. This is what we in the business call a Diddy-stiny party. A common defense that Destiny fans will give when he says that he wants to have sex with children is that he's just joking joking. For example, these tweets where he says, "You were hot at 10? Any pics? Check DMs. Jesus, I've never wanted to bend someone over the hood of their little tyke so bad." I do think these tweets are jokes, very strange jokes, but I don't think that him saying he wanted to hook up with this 15-year-old was a joke. You know that classic prank where you send your friends pictures of kids in bikinis and say how hot you find them as a joke? And to help prove that this wasn't a joke, here are some clips of Destiny doubling down on his attraction to this 15-year-old in a debate with someone named Mr. Medicare.
Of this chat log, I was talking with a bunch of other esports guys, and we were basically talking about how crazy the fucking jailbait is in the gaming communities. It's ridiculous. I think I said something along the lines of like, there are 15-year-old chicks that are like hot as fuck that will like try to send you pictures to like fuck you at events and shit, and it's like, you have to be really careful when you navigate that.
So what is the admitting to jerking off to 15-year-olds then? What is that in relation to?
I never admitted to jerking off. I think I just said like this, I think the log is something like this 15-year-old chick was trying to send me, or was sending me pictures of herself and she was hot as fuck. It's like really hard to like turn down some of these people. I think
Wait,
I said
how old was she?
She said she was 15.
So you did get pictures from a 15-year-old?
Not nudes though. Sorry, I should specify. I think a couple pics of her like at the beach or some shit, but
In swimwear?
Yeah.
So you're getting swimwear pics from 15-year-olds?
Yeah, hell yeah, dude. This shit is fucking crazy. Shit is fuck.
So, in these clips, he says that some 15-year-olds are hot as fuck, and he admits to sharing a picture of this 15-year-old in a bikini to his friends. So, is Destiny a pedophile? Well, he admitted that he finds some 15-year-olds hot as fuck, and he sent his friends a picture of a 15-year-old in a bikini because he found her so attractive. A lot of arguments with Destiny about pedophilia end up getting wrapped up in semantic debates about labels instead of focusing on the facts of the matter. If you call Destiny a pedo...
Oh, I don't want to go through the semantic debate bit. We can skip past.
From fucking channel to channel, like fucking around.
3-year-old sharing around a picture of a 15-year-old in a bikini. Deal? The next child-related Destiny incident is when him and his friends, the Bro Squad, watched an 8-year-old boy shake his penis for them on a live stream.
I shouldn't tell this because I'm gonna get fucking arrested. For Child Protective Services. I used to be part of this horrible thing called the Bro Squad, okay? Fucking me, if you remember that fucking Cheeks bitch, and fucking a couple other people that have never been on my stream before, were part of the Bro Squad, and what we would do is we would go around Justin TV streams, trolling the shit out of these people. And we went around from fucking channel to channel, like fucking around. Like it was this horrible shit. We went to this channel with this fucking like, this kid was like 8 years old, and he was fucking broing out with everybody in this chat. For whatever fucking reason, this kid decides to fucking take his pants off and fucking wiggle his 8-year-old dick on stream. I can't even believe it. Oh my fucking god, it was
like, Jesus Christ. And you're just sitting there like, fucking, yeah, epic, dude. So, jail? Like, fucking prison? Aren't you the one who's always talking about how you care about the boys in blue, law and order, supporting our troops, all that kind of shit? Well, Jesus Christ. Like, yeah, what the fuck are y'all doing? What are you admitting to here?
like, I didn't even know, like, we were on Skype, we were like, holy shit. Like, we had to do, like, a double take, because we didn't even fucking know, like, what the fuck was on, like, we were looking at, like, an 8-year-old dick, like, on the fucking screen. And his fucking brother, we called him Captain Push-Ups, would, like, come in the room. And this guy was, like, fucking 14 years old. He had his shirt off, and he was like this. Like, watching the stream the entire time and shit. Oh, my God.
As far as what Destiny says in this clip,
Jesus.
They didn't ask the child to pull his pants down. But I still think it's very bad that him and his bro squad didn't immediately click off of this live stream the second that this child exposed himself. If a child exposes themselves to you, I think you have a moral responsibility to immediately click away from that shit. But I guess Destiny and his bro squad thought it was really funny to sit and laugh while staring at an 8-year-old's penis. Next, a couple years later, Destiny planned to kill a kid. Apparently, this kid was DDoSing Destiny's website. DDoSing is when you overwhelm a website with fake internet traffic, causing it to shut down. And because Destiny's website was shut down, he was no longer able to make money from it.
Oh, I did troll the shit out of the DDoS kid. That's a guy, that's one of the people, like, legitimately, like, I was so, you have no, like, it's actually kind of scary, like, how close I was to getting people together to go down to his house to kill him and his family. Or it would have just been him and his father. Because I didn't know anything about it. Dude, that was some of the most fucked up shit in my entire life. I was so fucking close to doing it. But I was making so much money on Twitch, and I don't know if Nathan was involved in yet, but for whatever reason, I decided that the current life I had wasn't worth the risk of... Oh my god. Oh my god, I was so close to this fucking address. I had fucking streets mapped out and fucking you have no fucking idea. That's when I first started getting interest in, like, owning a weapon. I got a permit to own a gun and everything.
Destiny obviously never went through with killing this kid, but the fact that he legitimately planned to kill him is unhinged.
Were you really considering it? Yeah, of course.
It's actually kind of scary, like, how close I was to getting people together to go down to his house to kill him and his family.
How old was the kid in relation to you? I think the kid was probably 16. I think I was 22.
Destiny has defended this to this day, saying that if someone is stopping you from making money, this justifies killing them, even if they're a child.
If you came outside every single day and some guy was slashing your tires and he...
Jesus Christ. This is your brain on capitalism. Jesus. You're preventing me from making as much money. My fiduciary responsibilities. We need to execute him.
Wouldn't stop, and you call the police and nobody wanted to do anything despite having proof for it. You're like, well, I'm gonna have to attack this dude and maybe even kill him. Yeah, sure, go for it.
Obviously, I agree that someone maliciously taking away your primary source of income is incredibly bad, but I think there are a lot of other possible avenues you could explore before jumping to the nuclear option of shooting a child.
Obviously, like, yeah, I can't believe I watched the Hassan takedown first. The Hassan content nuke. It was like, hey, do you remember all those like stories from 5 months ago about him maybe being like a terrorist because he interviewed a kid and he thought the kid was a Houthi pirate, and now he's a bad guy. It's that versus like, hey, do you know the long and documented history of both ephebophilia, abuse, like very, very violent descriptions of potential acts that Destiny wanted to commit towards women, filming people without their consent, distributing nude materials of them without their consent, threatening to murder children, finding children attractive. Like that's what it's been on the other side so far.
Much as it obviously sucks to lose your income, I think if you need to choose between killing a child in cold blood and losing your Twitch revenue, you're just gonna need to put the fries in the bag and get a new job. The next child-related Destiny incident is when he encouraged an infamous lolly or drawn CP artist to draw a picture of his 6-year-old child. This artist is a man named Shadman. You might recognize Shadman from the recent controversy with Ava Chris Tyson from Mr. Beast, who was a really big fan of Shadman's work. Shadman has a long history of drawing pornographic images of actual children, including Keemstar's daughter, and because Destiny was aware of this, he encouraged Shadman to draw a pornographic image of his 6-year-old son. This controversy started because Destiny had been insulting the YouTube animation community. In response, Shadman made this drawing of Destiny to make fun of him, so Destiny then responded to Shadman by tweeting, "Hey @Shadbase, if drawing fan art of me is a tad uncomfortable, you could try drawing my son. He's only 6, so it should be easier for you." To try to be good faith to Destiny, this tweet was obviously a joke, and he didn't actually want Shadman to draw a picture of his son. However, I still think that goading a known CP artist into drawing CP of your own son is incredibly irresponsible. Because imagine if Shadman took him up on his request and did go ahead and make the drawing in the same way he had drawn Keemstar's daughter. Then, Destiny's son would have had to deal with the fact that there would be drawn CP of him floating around the internet for the rest of his life. If there was a known child murderer and you decided to tweet at that child murderer, "Hey, how about you come murder my child, LOL?" I think we would all agree that that would be incredibly irresponsible, even if that was just a joke. In the same way, I think it's incredibly irresponsible to encourage a known CP artist to draw CP of your child, even if
Well, it's just like a really fucked up weird thing to try and weaponize against someone, right? Like, you're fucked up because you're a pedophile who draws naked pictures of kids, so you'd probably do that towards my kid, right? And you're like, Jesus Christ. Of all the things
just
to,
a joke.
to try
Thankfully,
and weaponize
Shadman
against
did
them.
not end up drawing Destiny's child like he had drawn Keemstar's child, and Destiny got to have fun making his little joke.
What a great comeback.
Even though this joke could have come at the expense of his 6-year-old son's safety. Even though a lot of these situations involving children happened quite a while ago, I still think Destiny has been spreading harmful rhetoric around children even quite recently. A couple years ago, Destiny said that a 30-year-old randomly sexting a 14-year-old would not be grooming.
Let's say there's a person that's like 30 years old and tries to like randomly sext like 14-year-olds and 15-year-olds. That wouldn't be, I don't think that would be considered grooming.
So that clip sounds pretty bad, right? But
Yes.
we don't want to approach Destiny in bad faith or take him out of context, so let's try to understand the actual argument that Destiny is making.
That wouldn't be, I don't think that would be considered grooming. Now, let's say there's a person that's 30 years old and they're specifically seeking out like 14, 15-year-olds to kind of just like talk to them about their school life, figure out what their problems are, you know, be cool because you're old and you have experience, and then you kind of weasel in like sex art. That's like grooming, right? That would be like grooming.
So Destiny's argument is that a 30-year-old randomly sexting a 14-year-old isn't grooming, but if a 30-year-old tries to weasel their way into a 14-year-old's life and slowly manipulate them into sexting them, this would be grooming. But this argument goes against the definition of grooming. The definition of grooming is the action of attempting to form a relationship with a child or young person with the intention of sexually assaulting them or inducing them to commit an illegal act. Guess what, Destiny? Nowhere in that definition does it say that grooming has to be a slow process. Grooming is just forming a relationship with a child for the purpose of sex. A lot of times grooming is a slow
Olive. Good to
process
see
because
you.
they have to slowly break down the child's boundaries in order to get them to have a sexual relationship with them, but sometimes grooming can happen very quickly. For example, in situations where the child already has some established level of trust with the person who is grooming them. In this clip, Destiny is talking about influencers who sext their underage fans and saying that these influencers sexting their fans
Yeah, I'm just going to skip past the whole febophile section, but I think you've already had ample evidence up to this point. Him outright saying that he's attracted to 15-year-olds, sharing pictures of 15-year-olds that have been sent to him of them in bikinis, justifying different things like the ethical use of child porn, a lot of the stuff like that. Like, I mean, for purposes of remaining grounded in my axioms and litigious here, he may not be perhaps a pedophile because that is someone who's attracted to prepubescent. Like, maybe he's a febophile. Yeah, but I think it's safe to say gross, and has always been gross, and just seems to be disgustingly gross. Weldon, thank you for the $9.99 and the watermelon emote. I appreciate that. Very kind of you.
Wouldn't necessarily be grooming because grooming is a slow process. The reason that influencers are towards his ex-wife.
This is probably just going to be Melina venting about her relationship with me to Bob. Listen, okay? I've said it a million times. I'm a very fucking hard person to date. I work a fuck ton, and I'm very fucking cold. I have a really hard time dealing with people when they get emotional, okay? But if Melina starts crying or we're having an argument, I'll say, like, listen, I'm gonna go play fucking Minecraft. Like, come talk to me when you're done crying, because I can't sit here and listen to you cry. I'm wasting the few fucking minutes of free time I have in the day. I'm not gonna sit here and listen to you cry doing it. Like, so anybody that survives a relationship with me for more than like 6 months, okay, props to that person, because they're going through some severe fucking psychological abuse, all right? It's a fucking hard thing to deal with. I'm not joking.
Maybe Destiny's fans would claim that he was being hyperbolic here, and he wasn't actually admitting to being abusive, but here's his best friend Dan.
But also, I don't know, like, you know for a fact that when you're broadcasting, right, like, you are basically speaking to a lot of people. Like, right now, if I say something, I know that I'm speaking to about 1,300 people are listening to the words that are coming out of my mouth. So it's going to be important what I talk about. Why the fuck, even if it was true that you were just an abusive piece of shit, like a horrifying human being, would you want to, like, brag about that? Or even be like, okay, I gotta be honest with all of you, okay? I'm a terrible, terrible person to people I'm in a relationship with. I'm a terrible person to women. I don't respect them. I, like, you know, walk away from them when they start to cry. I'm not attentive to their needs. I'm a terrible partner. I'm a horrible person to be with, blah, blah, blah. And then everyone who's watching you is just like, oh, well, so, I mean, like, you're my hero. I love you and your video game and your StarCraft 2 Zerg rushes. I mean, I guess I came for the rush, but now I'm staying for the fucking misogyny. Like, now that's the next part of this, is just like everyone who's watching them has to suddenly believe that, like, oh, okay, well, this is just acceptable behavior, really. Instead of being like, it's a really shitty thing that I've come to learn about myself, that I'm terrible as a partner and I have to work on that. And so I'm going to be doing that with y'all. This is going to be part of my process. Hey, everybody, I want to make you aware of how you probably should be better to women. That's probably a thing that everyone should work on.
And also saying that Destiny was really shitty towards his ex-wife.
I'll say this also. I think Steven was a fucking really shitty husband to Melina, okay? I'm coming out here saying it right now. I don't think Steve would deny it either, but it's not good the way that he was. Like, I talked with Melina a lot of times, and she was crying and miserable and everything else, and Steve would say, what do you want me to say? I'm a selfish motherfucker. That's why I'm in the relationship that I'm in, the way that I do things that I'm in. And Melina, like, really was hurt by it. And I think, like, she was like, you know, what should I do? Should I leave? And I'll tell you this, I never was like, I was never like, no, you should stay and make things out. I told her multiple times, like, listen, if you feel like this is an abusive relationship, get the fuck out of there immediately.
Melina herself has also accused Destiny of being psychologically abusive towards her.
I'm irritated by a couple things. One thing I'm irritated about is that my ex-wife has reached out to a ton of people. At least 5 mutual friends have alerted me. I have no idea how many other are affected. Basically saying that I've lied about a ton of stuff and that I am abusive.
So Destiny has said that he was psychologically abusive towards Melina. Melina has said that Destiny was psychologically abusive towards Melina. And Destiny's best friend Dan also seems to think that Destiny was psychologically abusive towards Melina. I wonder if maybe Destiny was psychologically abusive towards Melina. Destiny seems to think that as long as he's like, yep, I'm an abuser, deal with it.
Because they're going through some severe fucking psychological abuse, all right? It's a fucking hard thing to deal with. I'm not joking.
That he can just move on from this and sweep it under the rug, but I don't believe he should be allowed to do this. And I don't understand why any woman would ever want to associate with Destiny after seeing shit like this. Destiny not only has a history of allegedly being abusive himself, he also has a history of surrounding himself with other abusive men. Years ago, the streamer Vosh was exposed by Destiny for sexually harassing a woman named Poppy.
Yeah, so the problem is that we've gotten these complaints for like, I think about a year, where like you've been like really sexually aggressive from a variety of people.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, no, the worst thing is that you engage in a repeatable pattern of behavior where you try to be very sexually aggressive towards a lot of the women in chat in order to make them uncomfortable enough to send you pictures, and then if they don't, you either act very aggressive towards them, like by telling them that you can't continue conversations anymore, or you continue to sexually harass them until they either give in or block you or go crazy or whatever.
It hasn't, I mean, none of this has happened. That's an extrapolation that you can make based on Poppy.
But even after Destiny found out that Vosh had sexually harassed her, he still decided to be friends with him and platform him and help him start his career. And now, years later, because of Destiny's actions, all of us have had to endure learning about Vosh's horse fetish and his short stack goblin porn. If you don't know what I'm talking about, don't look into it.
This is an example of the kind of structure that I'm referring to.
Later on, after Destiny's relationship...
That sound, though. Whoop! Oops, accidentally showed everybody my entire hard drive collection of all that drawn fucking CSAM bestiality shit. Oh no, my lolly collection. Whoop! Everyone will forget. No one will remember that.
With Vosh fell apart, Destiny decided to become friends with a rapist named Mr. Girl. And Mr.
God.
Girl is not allegedly a rapist, he is a rapist. He posted a video openly admitting to raping a woman.
A couple years ago, I matched with a woman on Tinder. I say woman because she was 46. Anyway, we got frozen yogurt. She came over.
Yes, this clip, Mr. Girl basically admits to raping a woman and then says, well, was it rape? Yeah, it was. She told me not to do something. I did it. Blah. I don't need to play it. I hate hearing his fucking voice. He's the worst fucking... I can't believe that was a whole arc where everyone had to suddenly get exposed to him thanks to Destiny. Thanks to, once again, him promoting another fucking ridiculously horrifying human being.
Admit to raping someone on the internet, but that's Mr. Girl for you. Mr. Girl is most well known for his review of the movie Cuties, where he said that he found the 10-year-old girls in that movie hot.
And it juxtaposes these amazing scenes where it's like you'll see the girls playing on a bed where they're stuffing gummy bears in their mouths and they're just totally children. And then you'll see them...
Yeah, like if you didn't know, like Mr. Girl, I think was someone who no one would have even fucking mentioned because he was just already, he had been self-relegated into the darkest corners of the internet. Like he'd already been like demonetized, his videos had been taken down by YouTube. No one knew who the fuck he was. And then he starts popping up in these Destiny streams and then amplified by Destiny. And then all of a sudden you start seeing him doing the circuits where it's like, hey, do you want to be interviewed by Mr. Girl? It's like, no, that guy who admitted to raping someone and then like you're supposed to just sit down for a conversation with him? No. I don't. I don't want to create content with this fucking monster.
Their booties on this stairway as they make this this viral video, and they're pretty hot.
10 years old is 5 years too young for Destiny's taste, but he decided to become friends with Mr. Girl anyway. Mr. Girl also released a bunch of videos where he was like emotionally abusing his girlfriend on camera. After they had been friends for a while, Destiny and Mr. Girl got into some drama because Destiny had banned Mr. Girl from Destiny's subreddit because Mr. Girl was criticizing Destiny for the way that he had defended Nick Fuentes. And then a few months after this, Mr. Girl released a report called the Destiny Report where he outlined all of the ways that he believes Destiny is an abuser. Most people ignored this report because they didn't really care to listen to a potential abusive pedophile rapist give his opinions on why he thinks Destiny is abusive. The report was also over 100,000 words long, and it was terribly formatted, and honestly, no one had time to read all that shit. And while I personally think that Mr. Girl is a disgusting weirdo, I do think he made a couple decent points in his report. Mr. Girl's main perspective is that he believes Destiny has a pattern of being abusive towards the women in his orbit. And now that we've seen evidence that Destiny has been sharing sex tapes of his orbiters and his ex-wife behind their back without their consent, I think this adds some credence to the idea that there might be a pattern of abuse happening here. In my opinion, Destiny kind of reminds me of the character of Dennis from It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia, if Dennis was shorter and scrawnier and more annoying.
I didn't know I was being filmed. If you're in my...
And also not funny. That's the difference, right? But yeah, it's the same kind of shit when you have just like a character who, by the way, if you don't watch the show, complete sociopath, absolute sociopath, as most of the characters on the show are, and does a lot of illegal activities, violates women's consent consistently. In fact, that's one of the things that he's known for, is basically describing about how he likes to put them in positions where they feel they're endangered because of the implication, because they won't say no to his sexual advances because of the implication, right? Like so much of that, it's like it's beat for beat kind of like the same predatory tactics that Destiny was using.
In my room, you're always being filmed.
You are.
It's true.
It's his thing. It's kind of creepy.
In case you haven't seen the show, the character Dennis is known for being a psychopath who's incredibly good at manipulating women.
Oh, look, I'm not narcissistic. That's good. I told you guys I was humble. We're a bit Machiavellian, or a bit not psychotic. Psychopath, a bit psychopathic. That's what I'm looking for.
The most famous clip of Dennis is where he explains that if you take a woman out on a boat with you, she won't say no to having sex with you because of the implication.
The whole purpose of buying the boat in the first place was to get the ladies nice and tipsy topside so we can take them to a nice, comfortable place below deck and, they can't refuse because of the implication.
Oh, okay. You had me going there for the first part. The second half kind of threw me.
Well, dude, think about it. She's out in the middle of nowhere with some dude she barely knows. She looks around her. What does she see? Nothing but open ocean. There's nowhere for me to run. What am I going to do? Say no?
Okay, that seems really dark.
No, it's not dark. You're misunderstanding me, bro.
I think
yeah, you are. Because if the girl said no, then the answer obviously is no.
No.
But the thing is she's not gonna say no. She would never say no because of the implication.
Well, in 2020, Destiny explains that he doesn't think it would be good for someone who has a large online platform to be sexting the women who he has as guests on his show because of the implication.
Let's say that I run like a really big podcast. I get 30,000 viewers. Let's say that I have a podcast. I got 30,000 viewers. Let's say that there's a girl that messages me. We talked a little bit and she really wants to be on. And I'm like, yeah, cool. Like, you really want to come on the podcast, blah, blah, blah. I could probably start sexting her and she'll probably give in and send me nudes and shit because she doesn't want to lose that opportunity. She might not actually want to. She might not be into it really at all, but...
Jesus fucking Christ. Yeah. You're just saying it all out loud. This is like one of the biggest problems with so many of these predators also being these super famous YouTubers or streamers, all that kind of shit, is they're obviously using that to prey upon people. It's like, yeah, it's pretty wild. I have a very popular show. I have a lot of fans. People like me. They like to watch my content. I'm very famous on the internet. I make a lot of money. I have access to lots of people messaging me on Discord, especially in my own massive Discord and subreddit, where they're constantly trying to DM me and be like, hey, what do you like? I like you. I love your content. What should I do? And it's just pretty wild how they'll actually send me naked photos. And it's just like, at this point, I mean, this is just sounds like you're describing your methodology, right? Like, this is how you do crime.
If I start propositioning her, if she says no to me, she might worry like, fuck, like if I say no to this guy, like I'm not going to make it on that podcast.
Oh yeah, definitely. And then are you wrong for asking in that case? Even though you saw it?
I think it is wrong. Yeah, I don't think you should.
However, as we now know, Destiny has a long history of doing this exact thing to the women who are guests on his show.
I don't like the idea that we're normalizing, someone bringing in a bunch of small content creators that are women, fucking them, right? And then when that fallout inevitably happens, like, just cast them away. Like, it's a really weird dynamic. I work with women, and I'm happy with the fact that it's professional. And that needs to be a standard that we set for more people, because I hate the idea that I just show up on screen with a woman, and it's automatically sex. But can I really be mad at an audience for thinking that when I hang out with Steven, who literally fucks pretty much everybody he works with?
It is possible that like you are like a very like mature person, and even if they turn you down, you're still cool with them being on your podcast. Like there are
that's Abba and Abba Preach. She made a video calling him out, and it's kind of like if things are too intense for Abba and Preach for you to be making content with them of all like duos, like holy shit. Not to mention like the call outs weren't even that unfair. He was like, I have for a long time wanted to talk about Destiny. I just felt I couldn't say anything wrong about him because this community is like the backlash you get online is so intense. Like the same thing everyone always says, and it was directly related to the fact that he thinks that Destiny specifically targets young women who have mental health issues, and does so because both he wants to manipulate them and control them, and that happens to be something that he fetishizes. That's basically what the call out is.
Some people like that, but like not everybody, no one knows. That's the problem. Nobody can ever know that if you're actually that kind of person. That's why it's like a very hazy area where you can't really consent in that situation. You don't really know.
So on the one hand, he is saying that you shouldn't sext with women who are guests on your show because they can't fully consent. And on the other hand, he is sexting with most of the women who are guests on his show and sharing around their sex tapes without their consent. A woman named Lav came forward and said that she felt pressured to send Destiny feet pics in exchange for being a guest on his stream.
At least in my case, I was so desperate to get out of sex work, and I told him that, and he said, why don't you stream with me? This can open up an avenue where like you don't have to do what you hate to do. And I'm a political streamer. You can get into politics, like fully extending himself to me in a way that was like very friendly. And then it turned into something like, oh, right after that conversation, he was like, oh, by the way, I don't see any feet on your profile. He. Like immediately after.
Apparently, after she sent him feet pics, he said, welcome to the Orbiters Club, implying that sending her feet pics is what will give her the chance to be one of his orbiters. Now, Destiny claims that this was a completely ironic joke and it wasn't meant to be taken seriously whatsoever, but if Destiny himself has said that he shouldn't be sexting his orbiters because of the implication, and then he sexts his orbiters and then says, welcome to the Orbiter Club, I am struggling to see how this is a joke. And even if it was intended as a joke, like Destiny...
That's so fucked up. Okay, first off, if you're just like, what exactly are orbiters? He is just so incredible, so famous, so massive that he himself is his own planet, and so much like a planet and a planetary system, there's going to be other things that orbit outside of him, the smaller content creators, and in many cases I guess his victims. But for a long time, yeah, there's been a lot of smaller content creators who become either streamers because they idolize Destiny or they just love his content, and they build up their own platforms. They don't have the same levels of success, but he gets to keep them all in check because he gives them a little bit of a gift every now and then. He lets his son bask upon them, reflect off them like the moon, so that they get a little bit of the spill off, and all of a sudden, instead of having 25 viewers, 50 viewers, you get But bam, 150 viewers, 200 viewers, because you're being really good to daddy, the mass orbit. And so that's how the whole system stays together. Well, at the same time, he's clearly using this whole thing as some disgusting ass way of recruiting his next victims. And so shit like this, being like, welcome to the Orbiters Club. Thank you for the feet pics, right? Like, it sucks because there are people who I'm sure genuinely got pulled into parts of Destiny or DGG or any aspect of this, not doing it because they thought that they were following some kind of disgusting ass sex predator, but because they thought they were following someone who had a vision, like a political vision, like, oh, he wants to debate all the far right and he wants to get these like Democrats elected and he actually cares about this stuff. He's a hardcore centrist. He's not like a lefty. He's not like, you know, any of those kind of people, the Bernie Sanders, the AOCs, the progressives. He's like the hardcore centrist, the omni-liberal, the one who's like really positioned himself into such a way that he's going to make sure that the liberals always maintain power by destroying the right. And that's why they got into this. But then really what's going on behind the scenes is him using his massive wealth and fame to prey upon young, vulnerable, in some cases, people who are trying to escape their positions as sex workers, people who have mental health issues, people who are looking to him for guidance or how to get into aspects of this industry. And then he's using them all to prey upon them sexually.
Destiny explained in this previous clip, you shouldn't be making jokes like this because the person on the receiving end might not understand that you're joking. It seems strange to me that Destiny had this incredibly nuanced view of consent a couple years ago, but then once he wanted to start sexting people, all of these rules that he set for himself went out the window.
Now, again, there are exceptions. Maybe you're friends with this person for 10 years or some shit, and you guys have like some, like, it could be like very niche. I don't want to say like every single time, but like as a blanket rule, if you even have to stop and think about this, you should just not do it. It's just a bad idea.
Later on, Lav accused Destiny of being the Harvey Weinstein of YouTube because she felt like Destiny had a pattern of manipulating the women in his orbit into doing sexual favors for him, and because she felt like it was emotionally abusive that every woman who came on Destiny's stream would inevitably be flooded with hate comments on his subreddit, which Destiny would refuse to take down. If you come onto Destiny's stream as a woman, you can be pretty.
By the way, this is Pixie, this is Cherry. These are two people. She's currently launching the civil lawsuit against Destiny, and she has pressed charges with the police for Destiny illegally recording her without her consent while they were having sex and then distributing those recordings, again, without her consent, to a third party that then leaked them onto the internet. And in Pixie's case, it was distributing those images of the two of them or of her own materials with a third party without her consent. Both incredibly serious sex crimes that he's accused of. This is the kind of backlash that you get, by the way, for people who start to enter the orbit or whatever you want to call it. And then all of a sudden it's like, it seems to be a very demonstrable pattern where the very people who at one point are brought in and get a lot of praise and are like, you know, friends to the community and get like, you know, their social media experiences amplified and all that kind of stuff, immediately get like antagonized, attacked for being crazy, for being obsessed, for being deranged, for having mental health issues. All of a sudden it's like, oh yeah, that person is obsessed with Destiny. That's someone who's got like, you know, some kind of an illness or a sickness. They're just so obsessed with him, right? They have derangement syndrome. They are deranged in how much they're trying to pursue them, when it's like they're actually coming out in a lot of cases and being like, this is the way in which I feel that I was abused. But I guess this is how it's going to be responded to.
You are going to get a bunch of hate comments on Destiny's subreddit. But according to Destiny's community, it's not because they hate women, it's just because these particular women all happen to be too stupid to debate their daddy Destiny. One time, Destiny's head moderator of his subreddit named Forethought sent one of his female orbiters the message, Kelly Jean, stop pretending like you're hurt by sexism. Your greatest aspiration was being an esports rape victim. Holy fuck, no wonder you wish you got raped. You've got literally nothing going on to be doing this at 40. After seeing these messages, Destiny refused to remove Forethought as a moderator of his subreddit.
But the whole idea is that if there's no wrong way to treat Kelly Jean or whatever, if that's her mentality when it comes to her, who's to say that doesn't expand to other people?
But can we just, why is it okay to do whatever you want to Kelly Jean?
Oh yeah, you'd have to ask Destiny that.
I mean, it's Kelly Jean.
That's not that.
Yeah, but if you have that mentality, Destiny, then yeah, he's gonna copy it, isn't he?
I wonder why women don't always feel comfortable on Destiny's subreddit. At the time, Destiny and his community absolutely tore Lav to shreds because they didn't think that she had enough evidence to substantiate the claim that Destiny was the Harvey Weinstein of YouTube. One time when Lav was in the hospital, Destiny sent to his public chat, like, I wish this person would just kill themselves already or fuck off from my shit forever. Destiny even one time shared with his public chat that there was a Kiwi Farms thread being made about Lav. In case you don't know, Kiwi Farms is a message board that is famous for doxing and harassing people they don't like. So by sending Destiny's community to her Kiwi Farms page, Destiny was essentially doxing her. To be clear, I'm not trying to 100% defend Lav here. I think that some of the negative comments about her debating were accurate. I don't think she's a particularly good debater. I also don't think that she necessarily had enough evidence to back up the claim that Destiny is the Harvey Weinstein of YouTube. Although these days I do think there is a lot more evidence pointing to that being the case. She also one time claimed that Hassan had slept with a 17-year-old, which she didn't have any evidence to back up, and then Hassan ended up tearing her to shreds for that. And since then, she has become a TERF who says a bunch of racist and transphobic shit on Twitter. However, I do still think that the treatment she endured from Destiny's community was insane. Being a bad person does not disqualify you from being abused. And if a woman feels like she's being abused by you and your community, I don't think a good way to prove that you're actually not abusive is by telling her to kill herself and doxing her. Destiny's community wrote off Lav as mentally unstable and insane, and because both her and Mr. Girl were widely hated by most people on the internet, most people ignored their allegations that Destiny was abusive. Destiny has a long history of bringing mentally ill women onto his stream, to the point where it's a meme in his community that all of the women on Destiny's stream have BPD. Destiny himself has said that he's most attracted to women who he considers mentally unstable.
This dude really has a penchant for going after mentally ill women, okay? Women with like severe depression, and a lot of them got like self-diagnosed BPD or some bullshit. Like, he just likes that. I don't know. To me, the fact that there's a pattern with a lot of these girls is a bit weird.
But the question is, does Destiny just happen to attract a bunch of mentally unstable women to his stream, or does he purposefully attract mentally unstable women because he knows they are more easy to abuse? Another mentally ill woman that Destiny had a long conflict with was a woman named Anna. Just like with Lav, Destiny also encouraged his community to go to Anna's Kiwi Farms thread, and he encouraged them to post in her thread.
Oh, okay. Also, heads up. This is my only non-media blackout time, okay? This is my only non-media blackout time. I will immediately back this, okay? Somebody on Kiwi Farms has made a thread of Anna. So if you are obsessed with Anna and you want to talk about her all the time,
Not gonna lie, I think you running the Hassan nuke first makes this one even more effective, not to contrast the difference in quality with the Destiny being the source for Ethan's info, or at least the subreddit. I don't know specifically with Destiny, I don't think the two of them are collaborating, but yeah, the subreddit, you could just see post for a long time when you would see Ethan make those Instagram posts. It was like, yeah, that's definitely coming off the DGG subreddit boards, right? But like, this is the kind of shit that should be called out, like, and worthy of like a deep dive into, this person is a serial abuser who has gotten away with this for years, endangering both his fans and women anywhere close to him in proximity, either in his communities or in his discords or in his subreddits or shit like that. Like, so much of it has been so bad for so long, but clearly there's been a pattern where I don't think Destiny again could have gotten away with this without people along the way downplaying the severity of what's happening, trying to continuously sweep a lot of the worst of it, like making it acceptable within that corner of the internet to like vilify any woman who has anything negative to say about her experience with Destiny, and just be like, oh, well, that person's insane. Oh yeah, that person has mental problems. Oh, that person tried to unalive themselves. Oh, that person was actually a sex worker a long time. Oh, that person actually has a long history of this or that. And then it's like, well, this seems to be something that is actually at this point pretty easy to identify as a huge problem, like that these people are being preyed upon. I agree with Ryan's assessment and what they said when they were like, there's no such thing as a perfect victim. They can be horrifying people in their own right or regard. That doesn't make them immune to abuse, which is also very true.
Chatter, you can actually go to Kiwi Farms and you can go and post all you want, read all you want, go there, post about it, talk about it. People put a lot of effort into categorizing and archiving everything. There you go, okay?
And in the thread about Anna that Destiny encouraged his fans to go message, they doxed Anna. And it was later revealed that at this time, Destiny was secretly in an ongoing sexual relationship with Anna.
So you acknowledge that you've been sexting with her for a year?
Yeah, we've had on and off, sure.
In response to this, Anna texted Destiny, "You literally ruined my fucking life. You just doxed me on your stream. Fuck you. You put me in danger." And Destiny responded to this by saying, "You're doing it to yourself and you're going to keep doing it to yourself." This is one of the most insane things I have ever seen in my entire life. Choosing to dox a woman you are actively sexting with just because she pissed you off. I guess if you want to live life by Destiny's rules, if your wife or girlfriend or friends with benefits ever pisses you off, why not just dox her to hundreds of thousands of people? I also want to be clear that I'm not defending Anna. Anna also has a long history of harassing Steven, which is obviously not good, but Destiny also treated Anna like garbage. He not only doxed her, but he also threatened to leak her nudes when she threatened to leak sext messages between the two of them to prove that Destiny had been lying about her.
So do you think that leaking sexting and leaking nudes is proportional, or do you think it's a proportional response in...
I also noticed that he seems like an asshole at the very least. You can't burn that number of bridges, and he burned. Well, that's like the fact that like a lot of people, including Destiny, are kind of like it definitely feels like there's some coordinated effort where people are talking behind the scenes and they're all trying to like organize and like. I was like, there's no coordination going on. Everyone fucking hates you. You've been like a career-long asshole to both everyone around you and anyone who even tried at any point to offer you grace or goodwill or good faith. Like, look how much you've shit upon every single one of your closest allies and friends. Of course, when everyone's like, oh shit, he was a serial fucking sex criminal, yeah, everyone's gonna be like, okay, good, well fuck this fucking asshole. There's a reason everyone rightfully hated him and rightfully called him out, and for a long time it's been like, yeah, he just seems like a massive piece of shit who genuinely doesn't care about anything outside of his own like gratification. That's it, about like getting off. That's essentially, fuck, he's just like Dennis. Like that's the only thing that matters to him is getting off. Like, I've seen him have debates where all of a sudden he completely switches a lot of the points and the things he believes in, because he's gone from debating someone on the far right, say like Lauren Southern, one of the people he ended up having an affair with, versus him debating someone who might have the exact opposite beliefs of her, but then suddenly just pivoting because he wants to win the debate, because at that point that's more important, just beating that other person and then getting off once again, because that seems to be the only thing that, like, that's the only compass, the only guiding point of any of this shit.
The way that you're reacting to that.
I think it's about proportional. Yeah, thanks.
You don't think that she has more to lose in that scenario? Like, you think that people were going...
Oh, I mean, she could have more to lose, but I just don't see the huge difference between, like, sex and nudes. Like, you're leaking, like, personal, like, sexual shit that somebody sent you and, like, trusted you with. Like, in my opinion, this is, like, one of the biggest forms of, like, weird, like, backstabbing shit that you can do. It's, like, one of the worst things a person can do is, like, leaking, like, private sexual shit like that.
I love you, Tom. So Anna had stalked and harassed Destiny, and Destiny had lied about Anna and threatened to leak her nudes and sent his fans to a website that doxed her. This is a situation where they were both clearly in the wrong, but I think this situation sent a message to Destiny's previous sexual partners that if you get onto Destiny's bad side, he will not be afraid to threaten to leak your nudes and send his fans to a website that doxes you. Looking back at Destiny's streams from over the years, I found at least 20 different women who had allegedly had some sort of sexual relationship with Destiny at some point, and I found at least 15 different previous female orbiters who now all hate Destiny's guts, and Destiny now labels them as crazy. The fact that Destiny has had sex with a bunch of his orbiters and now a bunch of them hate him doesn't necessarily prove abuse, but what I do know is that Destiny is not living by the standard he expects other people to live by. Again, he said himself that you should not sext people who are guests on your platform because they might not be able to fully consent because of the implication.
I think it is wrong. Yeah, I don't think you should.
And at the very least, he has totally and utterly failed at living up to this standard of conduct that he expects other people to live by. I think we would need more evidence to concretely prove that Destiny's stream really is this system of abuse, but all I know is that there are at least 4 alleged victims and a whole host of other women who absolutely hate Destiny's guts, so I would recommend that women should stay as far away from Destiny's community as possible.
If you know that the people you're going to be involved with are only short-term partners, and you constantly see the after effect of most of your hookups and your interactions leaving a trail of broken hearts and disappointed people, that's a moral failing.
Alright, let's recap all of Destiny's treatment towards women. Destiny sexually assaulted a woman. Destiny has a long history of sharing women's nudes and sex tapes without their consent. Destiny allegedly recorded a woman having sex with him without her consent, and in his messages to his Discord kitten Rose is Coming, he sent her audio recordings of men that he had slept with from Grindr and said, I went out and sucked a guy off a few nights ago and recorded the audio. It's really scuffed in my pocket, lol. Did I ever send it to you? If he was recording the audio from his pocket, it sure doesn't sound like that audio was recorded consensually, does it?
No.
Maybe he did ask if he could record him, but then he put the phone back in his pocket where the audio would sound terrible for some reason, but
He sounds more like the Diddy than the Weinstein. He sounds like he's doing Diddy shit, where like a lot of it was basically being done to men and women for a very long time, and a lot of other people were kind of like either half aware or fully aware of how bad it was, but trying to like downplay it or just join in the chorus of, oh no, that person is crazy. Yeah, that woman's crazy. She has no idea what she's talking about. Well, that dude is crazy too. He has no idea what he's talking about. He definitely not. These people are all crazy. All of them.
I highly doubt that. And if he was recording men from Grindr without their knowledge, it's also very easy to believe that he was recording Cherry without her knowledge. He has a history of calling 15-year-olds attractive and sharing pictures of them in bikinis. He has a long history of getting very mad at women when they post about their sexual assaults on social media. He has allegedly abused at least one of his female orbiters and was psychologically abusive towards his ex-wife. And he also admitted to choking out another one of his exes multiple times. However, he claims that this was done in self-defense.
Because you better fucking believe I had to fucking choke her out a few fucking times.
Finally, finally, Destiny has a history of doxing and threatening to leak the nudes of women that get on his bad side. I find this incredibly ironic because in his Keffels manifesto, he says that progressives believe there's no such thing as bad tactics, only bad targets.
And what comes with the belief that there are no bad tactics, only bad targets?
Well, if you ask me, doxing women and threatening to leak their nudes is the definition of bad tactics that you should not be doing even if you think that woman is a valid target. If you add up all of these allegations, I think it's time to consider that maybe Destiny is just not a good fucking person. Maybe he's your typical male feminist and all of the liberal bullshit that he spews on his platform is just him trying to get into women's pants. Before it had been publicly exposed that Destiny had shared Pixie's sex tapes with—
I think he's just a serial abuser / sex criminal at this point who has been able to get away with most of what he's been doing for a very long time due to people within his own community downplaying the severity of it, being accomplices along the way. Yeah, I'm sorry, every single mod who has known fully of what is like taking place and how many people are getting hurt, like I at this point would hope that most of you are collecting receipts and ready to expose the fucked up shit that he's done. If more people keep coming forward, I mean, the number's up to what, 6 different women at this point have talked about how he's either violated their consent, filmed them without their knowledge, distributed naked material of them or sex material of them to a third party, again without their consent. That third party then leaked it on the internet to the exposure of tons of fucking people. Like, the guy's been a career-long monster. At this point, like, any last remaining person who wants to do a video on Destiny trying to like downplay like, oh, well, he's actually changed, or he's actually not like this anymore since he started taking Vyvanse, or he's actually very, very different, even though like behind the scenes, he's not. Behind the scenes, while you're saying that and trying to defend him, he's actively trying to DM and message other people and share the fucking material with other parties. He's still doing it. It's kind of like, yeah, I think the only thing that's effectively going to stop him is either if he faces criminal repercussions for this, or he's completely bankrupted through multiple lawsuits. But like it at this point, to the few remaining folk who are within his inner circle, I guess, if you're still fucking defending him at this point, like, your only path to salvation is to effectively offer anything you can to help the victims. That's it. That's the only pathway forward, is you need to come forward with any information you can to support the victims in this case and help them along their way, because they are currently experiencing what a lot of other women have experienced while they've been victimized by Destiny, which is to have those communities still call them liars and call them slurs and call them mentally ill and unable to, you know, fucking, they're lying about this. Well, how dare you trying to face him? Yet another case of women trying to take down a powerful man by lying about, like, you can help. You can definitely help if you have information that can come forward and basically validate the thing that so many other victims up to this point have said and have expressed.
Without her consent. In private, he acknowledged that he had
Alexi, do you think this will actually do anything to him? It all depends, right? Like, I don't think unless he unless he faces any kind of criminal repercussions for this, or again financial, then obviously he's gonna he streamed a couple days ago. He had like what, 15,000 people watching him. I mean, a lot of those are obviously drama frogs who are around there just to see what he's gonna say, or if is he gonna slip up or create some evidence, right? But that doesn't mean that it's gonna destroy his career. Fucking Dr. Disrespect, as Dan Saltman has pointed out, still has a career. That was his way of comparing what is happening to Destiny. He's like, well, I mean, you know, Dr. Disrespect is still around. YouTube just remonetized him, so I mean, I guess you can admit to inappropriately messaging a minor, and afterwards have people still want to watch your content and see your funny sniper videos and your ponage. Yeah, Donald Trump is president of the United States. Louis C.K. won a Grammy. I mean, what do we really say here? Rich, powerful white men in positions of authority where they can abuse those positions and abuse victims, and then afterwards, even if they admit to it, still continue to do damage and horrifying things. Unfortunately, it's just the reality of the world. Like, so much of this has to change on so many different levels before like a person like Destiny is taking advantage of a lot of the work that other people have put in terms of, like, you know, trying to speak up about, like, I'm a feminist, I'm a male feminist, I actually care about the plight of women, I care about some of these issues up to a point, unless they actually tell me about how they've been sexually assaulted, then I get really angry. How dare you try to express how you didn't have a comfortable sexual experience? I'll destroy you online. But I'm a male feminist, I care a lot about this shit, this stuff is really important. Again, unless you tell me, but, like, Jesus Christ, he seems psychotic, like, absolutely psychotic. There's a reason why I think so many people for such a long time have been, like, you know, paralyzed at the very idea of even criticizing him because of what happens. You've seen how aggressive he goes up against women who are just trying to explain their negative sexual experiences that they've had. And that's enough for him to be like, I hope you fucking die. The shovel smashes you in the face and blah, blah. And then it's like, Jesus Christ. And then he's got thousands of people who idolize him, who might try and replicate his behavior online. What are they going to do when they see him doing that kind of shit? And like, holy shit, did you see how Destiny just went after this person who's basically been raped? Oh, now all of us have to do it. Like, we're all going to join in. Like, yeah, there's a reason that people have been fearing him and not speaking up about this shit, which has allowed him, unfortunately, I think, to get away with a lot of it for a long time too.
Severely, at the very least psychologically, damaged her. But once Pixie came out with her allegations publicly and announced that she was planning to sue Destiny, he went back to his old defensive ways and took accountability for nothing. He posted to his subreddit, "Legal arc beginning in mysterious ways. Such wow," which is the most millennial cringe way possible to respond to allegations of sex crimes. In this post, he never takes direct accountability for sharing Pixie's sex tapes with Roses Coming without her consent, and instead he—
Dave L, thank you for the $10. I grew up in the same town Destiny did. It was basically segregated until we were in the 90s, and produces a lot of guys like Destiny. There's a documentary out on Omaha. It's worth a look, called Out. Oh, Out of Omaha. All right, I will add that to the list. Did you see that Lonerbox now wants to distance himself from Destiny? I mean, he should, and like I said, he should also, instead of, you know, you should be coming forward with any information you have about this. Like, these are very serious sex crimes, and that anything you know from someone who worked in proximity to him, like, if you want a pathway forward for a lot of folk right now, I mean, I see the only one that is viable is coming forward to help the victims. And also, I mean, in the case of Lonerbox, you need to have a long, serious look about all the fucking apologia you've been doing alongside Destiny for all the fucking horrifying crimes and atrocities that Israel has been committing. Like, every single other person is going to have to reckon with this in their own way, including myself. I say that full well knowing that, like, I have my own inner guilt about, like, did I protest enough? Did I march enough? Did I, like, write enough to my fucking members of parliament? Did I do this? Did I send in my emails? But that's such a far cry from people, I think, who are going to have to reckon with, did you fully promote, you know, propaganda for a country that was committing a genocide actively? Did you travel there? Were you on a paid trip there to listen to the propaganda of the very country that is committing these war crimes and atrocities? Were you a part of that? Well, then, yeah, if you want to make right, then there is so much that you have to undo. So much, you know, like, Jesus Christ, this is like, it sucks that this kind of just intersected with so many elements of the streaming world and stuff like that, because, like, a lot of what we do is fucking nonsense. Like, yes, podcasters, streamers, YouTubers, like, you know, me being one of them, a lot of what we do every day is just making fucking silly reactions to content. It's such low form. It's like mime tier. It's like, hey, I'm gonna watch a video of someone, and then in the corner, here's the reaction I'm gonna give you. And trust me, I say this full well knowing that I do this for a living, all right? I do other stuff, by the way. There's other videos. You should check out the documentaries that I do on the YouTube channel, the Serfs TV. But yeah, it's honestly, that stuff intersected, unfortunately, with some very grim realities, which is the fact that, like, you just can't ignore the horrifying things that are going on in the world right now, so you're gonna have to end up talking about them. But then, of course, that got turned to the whole debate bro circuit, and boom, we have the debate perverts versus the debate fetishists, and they're all going against each other, and everyone wants to talk about how is sugar something that can be effectively turned into missiles, which can be effectively used by Hamas to be able to attack Palestinians. Is it okay that they actually restrict the amount of calories that every single child is allowed to eat in that part of the world? Because could the sugar potentially be used for cookies or for making bombs? I mean, it's not like that's ever going to permeate its way into the actual government of the United States, where they're coming out and actually falsifiably talking about condoms and how condoms are turned into balloon bombs that are then used to drop massive bombs on the Israeli soldiers. And then it's like, well, I mean, even if that was true, if you know, Hamas had found a way to you know, make balloon bombs of some kind, don't you think that, like, they would kind of pale in comparison to the 2,000-pound bombs that are being dropped on them by Israel, you know, being sold by the United States to Israel and then being used on very advanced targeting weapon systems, some of whom are designed in Canada, by the way, to drop on the faces of children. That's probably going to be more effective and more, I don't know, worrisome than a couple of the balloon condom bombs carrying the bombs that are also made out of sugar. Yeah, I know, it's Tom and Jerry shit. It really is, though. It is. It's like spy versus spy stuff. Fucking Wile E. Coyote, Looney Tunes stuff. But there are people now who are trying to justify genocide and ethnic cleansing and all these horrifying atrocities by simply twisting their brains around this. Like, oh yeah, it's actually okay for you to forcibly starve a population of half children and count their calories for them, because the sugar that could be used for cookies could also be used to create missiles, bombs, and the condoms that you might give them to, you know, reduce the amount of STDs that spread within their society. Well, those condoms could be used to, again, make floatable bombs, the condom bombs that can then drop the bombs. And they're like, what are we doing here? What are we're talking about, and we're arguing against someone restricting the ability for children to have nutrients. That's on this side, right? Like, so hey, debate lords, now begin the debate. On this side, we have someone who says that actually it's bad if you restrict the amount of nutrition children have, that shouldn't be something that you're allowed to do at all. Not in this situation, not isolated, just ever. You shouldn't be, we as humans should pass laws and have restrictions on our ability to starve kids to death. That's a very bad thing. I know, brave, valiant position on this end. The other end is now going to argue, but what if the sugar was used in bombs? And the condoms, what if they were inflated to drop the balloon bombs onto the other? What if that happened? All right, debate lords, are you ready? Are you ready to see blood spray all over the floor as these two master debaters are about to now get off live to this very grim and horrifying topic that they're going to talk about? Look at them, the gladiators of our age, online, sparring, one for one, slamming each other into the walls, talking about that sugar should be used for, that was a logical fallacy, I've caught you in your own petard. And then, boom, the world is a better place for all of us. We've now effectively changed. There's been no condoms in the Gaza Strip from the U.S. ever, but apparently I've heard from the President of the United States himself that y'all were sending $60 million worth of condoms on a regular basis, and that's like not a thing you should do anymore, because the condoms could be used to create the condom bomb fields and all that. The distinction between the pedophile and pedophilia would only come up in one discussion with the specialist. It's never been used in defense in court. Also, I would point, I forget which comedian has that bit, but it's such a good bit where guys like, hear me out. I'm going to now, for all of you, distinguish between, you know, a pedophile and a febophile, okay? And I have to tell you, there's a difference between a febophile, a pedophile, and like, and he just goes through the whole thing, but the punchline is basically that, like, but it's really hard to have that discussion and not sound like a fucking pedophile. I was like, I know, who cares? Who wants to distinguish between, like, there are certain people who are only attracted to specifically 17 and 16-year-olds. There are other men who are attracted only specifically to 15 to 13. It's like, yeah, but like, fuck them all. Like, okay, we have different words for them. Cool. They all sound like pieces of shit. They all sound like garbage, horrifying, the worst human beings possible. All of them. Fuck them all. They're terrible, right? Yes, but did you know that if you call one of them the other, well, still, that doesn't change my point. Okay, I'm gonna stick to that. Fuck them all.
Too, because his nudes were also leaked by the hacker that apparently hacked Rose Is Coming. Obviously, Destiny is also a victim in this situation, but I struggle to find empathy for him because he refuses to take accountability for sharing the sex tapes non-consensually in the first place, which led to this entire mess. He also talks about how Pixie was asking him for a large amount of money because she was trying to teach him a lesson, and I don't necessarily see anything wrong with her wanting to teach Destiny a lesson. Maybe he needs to be taught a lesson. Pixie made the point that unless there are some real consequences to Destiny for doing this, he'll probably just do it again in the future, which I agree with. Destiny later sent to his public chat, Pixie and the people behind her just want money. Yet this is a blatant lie because she made it abundantly clear to Steven that she would be willing to donate the money he gave her to charity. So just like usual, Destiny is attempting to smear his victim in order to silence her, even though in my opinion, Pixie has done absolutely nothing wrong. And I think this shows incredible moral character on Pixie's part that she's even willing to donate this money to charity, because I don't think she has any obligation to do this.
No, and afterwards, who gives a fuck? I hate, like, that's always a part of it, and I see it happen to women. When women come forward and they're like, yeah, by the way, I was sexually abused, I'm going to be suing this person, I hope to win in civil court. Then it's like, well, what does the money go toward? What are you going to spend the money on? Yeah? Oh, you're going to keep it for yourself? Yeah, you would. It's like, what the fuck is that of your business? What the person's going to do with it, right? Have you been sued? Was it you? No? Okay.
But even with Pixie being basically the quote-unquote perfect victim, Destiny still decides to smear her. My favorite sentence from this post is when Destiny says, "I have been trying to move on from covering drama content as it has had an increasingly negative impact on those in my life." Bitch, you loved covering drama content when it was other people's heads on the chopping block, but now you want to stop covering drama once your head is on the chopping block. After this, Destiny sent some messages to his chat that were even more defensive. "I have never done anything maliciously, as any of the fucking insane allegations say. That's fucking retarded. My only crime was being too much of a gooner in 2023 and earlier, 100% sure. Though again, I can't say anything specifically because everyone wants to come at me in court now, I guess." When he says that he didn't do anything.
Yeah, I mean, if you're just saying out loud, I did nothing wrong, then that means you're going to keep doing it. He's going to keep offending. That's why, like, again, it's one of those things that either comes down to, is there going to be some form involving law enforcement that stops him, or, you know, something that's so financially devastating that he can't keep this up. Whose channel is this? This is Ryan Beard. I will share the link for anyone who wants some of the parts that were not included in this, that were also part of the discussion.
Don't let this happen to you. Go to serfscoffee.com to order the only end-to-end owned indigenous coffee company that delivers blood-free, conflict-free, and cruelty-free beans right to your door. 0% of people who drink serfscoffee.com have exploded spontaneously. By ordering right now, you get 10% off plus free shipping, and it's the best way to enjoy delicious coffee while not exploding. That's serfscoffee.com, serfscoffee.com.
Hey, if you'd like to unlock secret bonus episodes as well as uncensored content, go to patreon.com/theserfs. This show is produced by Anna Loves Riley, Arian McCarthy, Cheryl Alvarez, Comrade Junkie, Doug Caddy, Everything Important, Hagbard Celine, Jimmy Sombrero, Multimondi, Omni, Political Puppy, Preston Kroll, Quiet185, Riley and Anna, Roller Dragon, Cernicus, Stellar Gwyn, Sebastian Demel, Travis McClinton, Trincel, Words Greenwood, with additional support coming from all of these amazing human beings right here.